You know, come to think of it, losing Valedictorian might just have been the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Honestly, Mitch, for once, I think I actually agree with you.
Now, what should we do with this? You know, we could...
Give me that.
Family, friends, teachers, fellow graduates, honored principal Mr. Phillips, where does the time go? 4 years have flown by. We've been hit with everything. Bad grades, a pandemic, facial acne, but we made it. Tonight, I am honored and privileged to stand before you as we both look back on our journeys and as we look forward to what lies ahead. I'd like to thank my teachers and classmates for giving me the opportunity to represent our graduating class. All great stories begin somewhere. Ours commenced on September 5th, 2017. That morning, we took our first steps through the halls, excited to leave the confines of elementary school and eager to experience the independence and maturity high school promised to offer us. We traded in our coat hooks for lockers, duotangs for binders, and each morning we raced around frantically, trying to find our classes as the Mission Impossible theme rang in our ears. We weren't bobcats, rams, cougars, stars, dragons, or dolphins anymore. We were something much cooler. Oak trees. Who came up with that? Like, why oak trees?
Yo, we're rolling.
Oh, I'll never forget the beginning of grade 9. We as students were nervous and scared, entering a brand new environment. It was at events like Red Feather and the grade 9 dance that we first had the opportunity to meet new people and mix with our peers, but more importantly, take pictures to share later on Instagram. We all dreaded catapult and exams, but it all brought us closer together. From there, we moved into grade 10. Gone was the anxiety and fear, now supplanted by arrogance, as after only 1 year, we thought we knew everything. We feared the OSSLT, but more importantly, we now knew a little better where we fit in. Now grade 11 was where things got interesting. We as students were finally established, no longer worrying about what others thought. We were becoming leaders rather than followers. The once dreaded catapult was now a highlight, as us scared kids were now mentors, excited to embark on the Camp Kimoki overnighter with our peers. But even still, things just got that much harder. As we were getting older, teachers, coaches, and parents alike expected more of us. Classes got harder, marks mattered more, and then one day, everything changed. Although at first we were excited to get an extended break, reality quickly set in. An opportunity to sleep in and watch Netflix quickly became stay-at-home orders and school being cancelled for the year. But even still, through it all, we grew. Whether it be physically, socially, or emotionally. Once acorns, we now stand tall, strong, and resilient as oaks. I'd like to start by acknowledging all those who helped us through this transformation. Our teachers have shaped us, taught us, and molded us, with an education that lasted well beyond the hours of 8:15 a.m. to 2:32 p.m. Our teachers have supported us in the classroom, on the field as coaches, in clubs as advisors, but I'm sure that just like me, you're wondering where you can apply Shakespeare in the real world, or how you can apply calculus when driving a car.
Boss, wherefore art thou my paycheck?
Jokes aside, even if I don't quite remember Miss Whiting's quadratic formula song, or understand all the Shakespeare stories Miss Darceau read to us, the truth is that the life lessons our teachers have given us over the years are far more valuable. For example, Mr. Marr taught us the importance of showing up on time by slamming the door in our face as soon as the bell rang. Mr. Nesbitt, Mr. Corellis, and Miss Layton taught us that when it comes to casual lunchtime basketball, it's about winning, not having fun. Mr. Gonzer showed us what it's like to be a runner and a track star. And how could I forget about Mr. Darling, who showed us that graduation doesn't have to be the end of your time here at Oakridge. Jokes aside, can we get a round of applause for all the teachers who have worked so hard, so diligently to ensure our success? To the guidance department, who has helped us plan our futures throughout high school, we thank you. To the secretaries and custodians who have kept our schools clean, safe, and well managed, we thank you. Can we get a round of applause for all those who have helped us find our paths and kept our schools running smoothly over the years? To our parents and guardians, you fed and nurtured us all so we can be here today. You supported us throughout our phases, bad fashion choices, and tantrums. You've sat through dreadful sports games, sometimes screaming from the sidelines, off-key concerts, still bearing smiles, and video cameras in hand. You've driven us through rain and snow, all so we may have a great education. It's safe to say that none of us would be who we are today without our parents. We will still come to you, sometimes in defeat and other times in triumph. Our parents are always there for us, and we don't appreciate it nearly as much as we should. So, can we give them a round of applause? And now, the biggest reason we're here today. This day that would mold us for the next steps of the journey that lies ahead. For it is the foundation of these last 4 years which shall enable us to succeed on our next journeys, whether that be college, university, the workforce, a victory lap, and beyond. I want you all to think about the people you would have been sitting with today. The now familiar faces you didn't know 4 years ago. These may be people you've gotten to know by passing in the halls, sitting next to them in class, spending time with them on the weekends, or cutting them off in the parking lot after school. Yeah, I've seen how some of you guys drive. Let us not only recognize the laughs we shared and the memories we made, but how we made each other feel, and how we shaped each other over the years. You have all worked hard to get to this stage, and the success you've earned is what we are celebrating today. Folks, there is not a finer, harder working group of individuals I know. So, ladies and gentlemen, parents, guardians, without further ado, I give to you your graduating class of 2021. Can we give them a round of applause? Now, I know we had anticipated a grand finale. One big final moment to cherish together. But sometimes, it isn't these big finales that matter. Here's a story you're often told. You go to high school for 4 years, study hard, go to university, get a job. From there, it's smooth sailing. But is that really it? If it is, then what's the purpose of it all if all we're doing is just going through the motions? Let me instead tell you another story, one you haven't heard but you're sure to have experienced. You laughed in class as your teacher roasted that one student. At Red Feather, you took pictures and shook your head as Oakridge lost yet again. You walked through the Jesus hallway in the morning, feeling the sunlight hit your face. You shared conversations at your lockers. As honey-loving bear Winnie the Pooh once so eloquently put, sometimes the smallest things take up the most room in our hearts. These things were likely different for every student. Maybe for you it was helping to lead the school on student parliament. Maybe you were a student trustee or senator representing our interests at the board level. Maybe you emphasized mental health through Oaks Jack's chapter, Culture for Learning, and Goodfellas. You may have performed on stage at the dance show, sang in the choir, or played instruments at concerts. You might have played sports, joined Oakbotics, played in Reach for the Top trivia tournaments, written math and science contests. You see, it's our diversity as a group, and the things we do, which strengthens us. Truth be told, when I was tasked to write this speech, I wanted to avoid talking about all the things we missed out on. Sports, Relay for Life, perhaps most importantly, the calf cookies. When people asked me how I felt about losing my senior year, I shrugged it off. I didn't even want to acknowledge it. But the truth is, it's a big deal. We lost our sports seasons, the chances to be captains and team leaders. Some lost their final chances to compete in clubs and competitions. Others lost their final opportunities to perform and display their art. We weren't even able to see half our peers because of the cohort system. We missed out on prom, grad photos, commencement. But we cannot let this pandemic be the defining event of our graduating class. Every year at Oakridge, we took part in crazy, monumental events. We walked out in support of teachers, and they supported us back this year when going to school was harder than it had ever been. In grade 11, we watched the senior boys volleyball team bring home the OFSA gold. We watched our football team try their best. We raised almost $500,000 for cancer research through Relay for Life. Student Parliament put on tons of great events. Grade 11 and 12 mentors passed on their knowledge to the next group of incoming grade 9s. We all supported each other over the years, and the strength of the Oak remained intact as we endured our hardships together. Instead, focus on what we learned. COVID-19 taught us to take nothing for granted, live with no regrets, and take advantage of every opportunity you are presented. Maybe the big moments aren't actually the big moments. It's not about walking across the stage. It's about walking to class, walking at lunch, walking laps, walking through life together. Yes, the losses were disappointing, but it's only because we're an ambitious bunch. What can I say? We want it all. Famous Canadian street poet and philosopher Drake once said, "Oh well, I guess you'll lose some and win some. As long as the outcome is income, you know I want it all and then some." Even if the idea of material success influences us greatly, I implore you to follow your dreams. No matter where you end up this fall, make sure you take some risks, but most importantly, remain confident through it all. As I look at you, all I see are people that have inspired me. No one can tell me that I'm not looking at the next generation of greats, the change makers of society, a group that will make history. Yes, the last year and a half weren't what we planned, but even if it wasn't what we had in mind, this experience is definitely one we're never going to forget. As you move forth, what kinds of experiences will you create for yourself? Every student's faced their fair share of disappointment and upset, even me. I'll never forget the first time I saw the Spider-Man movies. I leapt off my couch with excitement, telling my mother, Mom, when I grow up, I want to be Spider-Man." My mother looked at me and said, "Jagdev, grow up, you're graduating next week." Nevertheless, when things don't go as planned, like our senior year, the manner in which we handle our trials and tribulations determines the experience we will have, and the memories we will walk away with. Class of 2021, it was a wild ride, but we made it. Even if we're about to go our separate ways, we should know that at this moment we are all equal. The world is calling our names, and it's up to us to heed that call. As famous basketball phenom Troy Bolton once said, "We're all in this together." My fellow Oaks, being able to embark on this incredible journey with you all has been one of the greatest honors of my life. The question as we leave today is not whether we will change the world. No, the question we must ask ourselves is how much we will change the world. If we're willing to dream big enough, the possibilities are endless. So let us stand side by side, 6 feet apart, of course, as we begin our next chapters. Thank you.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about